Welcome to our monthly podcast, What Charter School Leadership Looks Like. Each month, we meet with leaders in the education sector to better understand how they land the plane while it's still being built. Although in this case, it's really, I think, helping the plane get off the ground. Our guests today are Jo and John McKenzie of the McKenzie Foundation, focused on career and college education in the public school sector. Before we start, I wanted to take a moment to just say that this episode is created and sponsored by School Improvement Partnership, which focuses on data transparency in the charter school sector. With over $2 billion of charter school bonds that we report on, we have the largest database of charter school data in the country. And as we say, if you've seen one charter school, you've seen one charter school. Let's see. So I wanted to start actually with Jo, Vice President of the McKenzie Foundation. First, John and Jo, welcome.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
Oh, no, this is a great opportunity for us. And I wanted to, Jo, just start a little bit with, with your journey so far, sort of, your childhood and growing up, and if there were role models that you had.
I had a very normal middle-class childhood. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, grew up in a suburb just outside of the city limits. I was the youngest of four kids. Everything felt normal. My father was a sheet metal worker, so I came from a family that was involved in skilled trades. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, didn't work. I went to a Catholic grade school, and then in high school, I went to the local public high school. I was the first in my family to graduate from college, which was, in the 70s, I guess, was not totally unusual, because a lot of parents in my generation, I guess, they didn't go to college either. But I did have a mentor that I met in the 6th grade. She happened to be a teacher who came in mid-year because the teacher that I had moved on. And she, at that time, I didn't really have a lot of self-confidence. I didn't think I was very smart, and I just kind of was getting along. But Mrs. Wibbler was her name, and she just pulled me aside one day and she said, if you try harder, Jo, you really are a smart girl, and I think you could accomplish a lot more, but you have to put a little more effort into it. And so that, really inspired me, and it pushed me to try harder. And I ended up graduating cum laude from college. So I think just having that little, bug in my ear made a difference in my life.
Oh yeah, I think 6th grade is a seminal time, and having a mentor is sort of, as we'll talk later, I think important for all of us. I asked too many questions, as I'm doing today, I guess, in 6th grade. So Mr. Ricker, we would be dressed in coat and tie. What he would always say is, Wohlstetter, take a lap, and he'd make me run around the athletic field in my coat and tie because he was tired of all my questions. So some things never change. But interesting, but you were the first one to go to college, although you were the youngest child. So your older siblings, so there was something about whether it was the support you got from your mentor, your family, or just the way you are, where you said, I'm gonna make this step that nobody else had made.
I think part of it was I knew I always wanted to do something different than what I had grown up in, and go beyond where I was. I mean, I loved being in Cincinnati. I liked growing up there, but I always knew I wanted to move beyond that. And I think, and especially in the 70s when I went to college, that everybody was basically going to college. That was like, that's when they started the big push to college. So yeah, no, I'm really, really happy I went. I wish I would have known more before I went and made smarter choices about what to do with my education. But yeah, it was.
Oh yeah. Well, that can be part of the journey, I think, that we all have, honestly. Well, John, I did want to just on your journey, just sort of also circle back to you. And I got the sense that, and I've gotten to know you definitely a little bit over these past months. Did I miss it? But you were probably, the guy in school who was straight A's and did everything perfectly and sat in the front row, really attentive, and help the teachers clean the erasers.
I actually thought I did better than I turns out I did. I found my old report cards in the basement one day. And it said John needs to work on citizenship, and he suffers from occasional silly streaks, whatever that means. I think I was always sort of trying to take over the class, and I'd always find a couple of other troublemakers, and we'd try to make people laugh and basically do anything but pay attention. So no, I did not get straight A's. I got an A here and there in gym.
But so you were a bit of a rebel, and it sounds like a leader, from the beginning, just sort of. And it sounds like pretty good at building a team, whether it was a team to, make the class crack up, or, a team to put together a large real estate project. You've always seems like that's been in your skill set.
Well, that's perceptive of you, because yeah, I always did try to have a crowd around me of reprobates, and I think I said to you before, I think it's hard to sort out in school which disruptive kid is going to be an entrepreneur and which one's going to be a criminal, because they act sort of the same. But I always knew I was going to be on the right path, and it was all, kind of in good fun.
Sure. Well, yeah, your mom probably wouldn't have let you survive if you went the criminal path, so it worked out best for everybody. Let's see. Well, I think uh, another thing that I wanted to get a sense of, Joe, just, as we're thinking about it, is really, and John just touched on it now, is the idea of leadership, or your role in things, and whether it's as the McKenzie Foundation, as starting and heading that with John and Jack and Taylor, or if it's in other things that you're involved in. Leadership can mean different things to different people, and there's not one style. That's why we like to have this podcast. So when you think about the things that you get involved in, you might not be the one who barks orders, but how with things do you think about leadership in a group that you're part of?
Yeah, you're right. I'm not one to bark orders. I think I'm more of a laid back is not the right word, but a quiet leader. I like to try to listen and learn, and then make suggestions or lead. And I'm not out front. John's very much out front, and I'm more in the background, but I like to know what I'm talking about before I say anything. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, as you say that, I think you mentioned that you and John have, well, of course, I know your two adult children, who I mentioned, Jack and Taylor, and then also, I believe you've mentored a student. So with all that, it's not just your kids, it's also as you're present in the world. How do you, sort of speak up when something's going off the rails a bit?
Oh, I guess I just speak up. That's interesting. John could probably answer that about me better than I can, but I think I like to just try to encourage people to find out, to find out what their issues are. I think I just try to figure out what's wrong, or make suggestions, try to help people find out what their issues might be, and to try to find a resolution for them.
Sure. Well, just then more, more personally then, just sort of with you as you went through college, as you got out of college, I think you met, John in your early 20s, but you were
Right.
working after college. So are there any instances where, as you thought about it, you wanted to be doing something different or, or learn from something that wasn't going well, whether it was a boss that wasn't good or, a situation that you wanted to change?
Hmm. Well, I think, I wish I would have had the opportunity to really figure out what I wanted to do when I went to college, which is what we're going to try to do with the charter school, is to get kids interested, find out what their interests are early on so that they can, you know, forge a path to get to where they ultimately want to be. I went to college just to go to college, basically. Didn't
Hmm.
really have a clear idea of what direction I wanted to go. And I do wish that I would have, had some clear direction and picked, an area of interest that I could have um, benefited from my entire life. Not to say that college was, a waste. It certainly wasn't, but I could have gotten more out of it. And so I look back and I just wish I would have applied myself more, figured, some things out a little bit earlier and, done more with my opportunity.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, and you brought up, and John, I'd love you to talk about this. You brought about up Pathways Career and College Academy, and how there's some early guidance that those ninth graders at this charter school being started in Madison will have. John, can you talk a little bit about that and sort of, your vision for what that's going to look like, and how we sort of, for students who may not have had a parent in the trades, or a family who has gone to college, how the school is going to support those ninth through 12th graders, leveraging other things that you put in place in Madison.
Right. Well, this idea that we're pursuing now is really a follow through of a project that we did focused specifically on skilled trades in Madison that was extremely successful. And what we did is we put together a facility that makes young people aware of the opportunities in skilled trades, and then we teach them, we get them out onto job sites, but we also teach them about wealth building and entrepreneurship and all of those things that make you successful. And so, having completed that, through the process, I learned that kids start eliminating careers at about fifth grade. So if you don't get to these kids early on and implant in them a vision of success or an opportunity down the road, there's very, very little reason for them to put forth any effort in school. I mean, think about it. When what we're trying to do is attack the cycle of poverty. We're not attacking the school system or teachers, but we're attacking the cycle of poverty. And the answer to that is a good job and wealth building skills, right? If you've done that, you've beaten the cycle of poverty. So to get there, very early on, we want to introduce them to the various opportunities that are out there. Now, we won't get them in fifth grade because we're talking about high school. And that's why we partnered with the Boys and Girls Club. So the Boys and Girls Club is a fantastic organization. They were my partner in the Workforce Center, and they can help implant hope and opportunity in these young people and give them the vision that there is something out there for them. I mean, you look at what they see in their neighborhoods, right? They don't see any mentors. They don't see an architect there. They don't see a real estate developer there. They don't see a airline mechanic there. So that's not on their radar screen. Why would they try in school if there's no reason at the end? So what we want to do is get these kids in ninth and 10th grade and really get deeply into what they're interested in, their capabilities. We can be a clearinghouse for great, well-paying jobs that are out there, which they couldn't do on their own. And as they explore that, and we catch them up, it'll be a college curriculum as well. But I think that benefits not only a kid that doesn't go to college, but a kid that goes to college, like Jo. All right, if she had the opportunity to explore things that she was well suited for and might be interested in. Like she talks about now, she wishes she'd have been an architect. Well, there was no architect in her neighborhood, I bet. Right. So that's what we want to do. We want to wake these kids up to their opportunity and then help funnel them into good jobs.
Sure. Well, it's when you talk about that, you hit on so many things that's sort of embedded in the leadership of you and Jo and the McKenzie Foundation. But one thing, Jo, I thought was interesting, I want you to unmute because I'm curious as your thought on this. It's interesting how I think there's a dearth of opportunities, John, absent before you put together the $30 million McKenzie Workforce Development Center with the Boys and Girls Club for students to really get that hands-on experience, too, whether it's in the trades or anything else. And, Jo, something like that, you see that as important for young people to be able to, chart their path.
Oh, I think it's critically important. They need to experience things firsthand to really understand. It's one thing to maybe, even if you don't have them in your neighborhood, but even read about an airline pilot or an accountant or a lawyer, but to really go out in the workforce and have an opportunity to work alongside some trade that or career that you're interested in. I think it just gives them an idea, more of an idea of whether, yes, this is something I want to pursue, or, oh no, maybe this isn't, what I thought it was going to be in real life. So I really think that's very, very important. I feel strongly about that.
Yeah. And it sounds like your all's heart is really in that, and you're not new to this space. You've been, supporting students, historically. Tell us about the student that you mentored who it sounds like may have already finished college, Jo.
Oh, right. Yeah. We, several years ago, I don't know, 8 years ago now, I guess, we, donated some money through the Boys and Girls Club to put a student through college, a first time student and her family. And she ended up doing very well. She ended up finishing her 4-year degree at the University of Wisconsin. And then on her own initiative, without any help from us, she went on and got her master's degree. And now she is working, and she's helping, I guess, mainly kids of color, Latinos, and Black young people become better citizens by, encouraging them to vote and to get involved in their communities. And she's now in a position where she's giving back, and she's just become a fantastic young woman. And we're incredibly proud of, the opportunity that she has, the opportunity that she was given, that she took and she really acted on, and made quite a great life for herself so far.
Yeah, well, it's interesting as you talk about that, and this is always a hard part. You can maybe relate to it with your children as well. I know I can, where you want to be supportive, but they're the ones who have to do it.
Right.
And my pickle is I overfunction sometimes, and that's probably not good. So I need to, work on that when they're struggling. But sometimes that struggle is what's necessary to hit the dead end so that there can be
Right. Sure.
growth.
Sometimes that's how they learn best, is through their struggles and failure, and, figure out what works and what doesn't.
Exactly. Well, John, as you were talking, taking Jo's comments in mind, as well as what you've done in terms of leadership in the community and the way you were describing Pathways Career and College Academy, it sounds to me like you together have put in place some key elements for charter schools that they need for them to succeed, which is that you have sort of the buy-in of the community, and the Boys and Girls Club as a partner is a key stakeholder in the success of this. you also, it seems like, have, though, the business community also supportive. And I'd like to understand sort of how that could redound to the benefit of the school, and how, you sort of see, John, the relationship between um, sort of education and the workforce. Because when I was in school, you actually, sometimes you majored in English or art history, or I majored in history, something that had nothing to do with the job I could get.
Well, that's right. Always shocks me living in a university town, Madison, how often we go to restaurants and you strike up a conversation with your server and you find out they went to college and got a degree and they're a server. Not that I'm knocking servers, but I think that's a great example of a failure that we have in our public school system. And that is that we're not introducing kids to all of these various options that they're out there. I mean, typically, most typically, people end up doing what their parents did. I mean, think about it. My father was in the real estate business. I'm in the real estate business. You'll often see a plumber. His father was a plumber. Well, that's what they know. And it's always bothered me that the public school system has sort of a track for college that they do very well, but there's really no plan B. There's really no exposure about all these other opportunities that are out there. The thing that was really resonated with the community, I think, on the Workforce Center that we did was that it was such a simple idea. I mean, I don't know why I'm given any credit for this great idea, because it's really pretty basic. We have a shortage of skilled trades in this country. Everybody knows it. But there's also a shortage of all sorts of things: airline pilots, mechanics, healthcare industry, surveyors, on and on and on it goes. But there's no process where we introduce this stuff to young people and get them on a path. So, the beauty of this thing is you can like it because it's good for people. You don't like the cycle of poverty, it's bad for the country. Or you can be cold about it and say, well, we like it because it's good for the economy, right? The economy does not function as it can without people who are trained and motivated and ready to go to work. So there's a tremendous opportunity here. And also, what happened with the workforce, I saw it as an opportunity to diversify the workforce. I mean, that's extremely important. We've got a serious racial wealth gap in this country. And the only way that we're going to fix that is, it's not through handouts, it's through creating opportunity and nurturing these kids. And I'll tell you, I am absolutely blown away by the amount of effort and commitment these young people have shown us through the Workforce Center, where they show up on the weekends, at night, during the summer, to improve their circumstances. And I think that's pretty impressive. And I think we've just got an opportunity to do this in a very broad way.
Well, as you're saying that, given, as a successful businessman, I'm curious when you hire somebody who's younger, sort of what do you look for? And I'm saying that because as you look at building the curriculum, both at the Workforce Center and at the Pathways Career and College Academy, what are some of the soft skills other than STEM and, engineering and math and all that is going to be part of the curriculum, but some of the soft skills that you think are also important for students to be able to sort of, grab hold of their own path?
Sure. Well, I think the very basics are something that um, I just kind of automatically got exposed to in my culture that others might not. So, I mean, it's a simple thing like shaking hands and looking somebody in the eye, showing up on time. Those are basic things, but we get these kids, we have a 12-week program we call it wealth building and entrepreneurship, but it's more than that. It's really public speaking, and it's how to write a resume. It's how to do a budget. And because these kids will come in and they're so beaten down, they won't look you in the eye, and they don't know how to shake hands. They'll give you a dead fish. And at the end of the 12 weeks, they walk out there, we make them public speak, do an elevator pitch, we do mock job interviews. So they really learn how to interact and culturally kind of what's expected. But I think when I interview somebody, the first part of your question, what I'm looking for is not, and I'm hiring a subset, but it's property managers generally for the apartments that I own. But I don't ever hire for experience. It doesn't matter much to me.
Oh.
I look for other things because we can always train somebody, and I'd rather train them in my way of doing things than try to correct something they learned elsewhere. But I think it's the same kind of things that I look for, or that I would say have made me or other people that I know successful. And it's not IQ. It's generally things like energy, judgment, problem solving, ability to make a plan, communication skills, those kind of things that are really important, because you can learn a specific trade or career, but eventually you're going to be problem solving for the most part, and that's what you need.
Sure. Well, as you're saying that, it makes me wonder, Joe, Joe, as you think about, particularly with young women and, the challenges that they have, not only, not uniquely, but maybe uniquely on social media. Some of them are almost, you might feel more as a young woman than you would as a young man. How you need to look and be and all that stuff. How do you think the Pathways High School, and as you do programs like this, sort of a career option, what can you all do to sort of reinforce how young women and young people, how they almost think about themselves rather than have that be the judgment of the social media posts as to what they should think of themselves?
Well, I think one of the first things we're going to try to do is limit social media and hopefully not allow cell phones in the school during the day. But yeah, I think that's a huge problem. I think it's at 60 or 65% of high school age females are seeking some sort of psychiatric help or feeling like they need some sort of help because they're so influenced by what they're seeing on social media that they don't feel adequate, that there's no way they can feel like they're, beautiful, smart, talented, thin enough, fit enough, because they're seeing all of these images that are not, they're not realistic. And I think that trying to limit that as much as possible and encourage other forms, one-on-one interactions with people rather than, getting on social media is something that we're going to try to encourage. And I agree with you. I think it's a big problem, and especially for young girls, I think they're struggling with it the most because, there's always been that for women, I think, where, they're judged on things that men aren't necessarily judged on, which isn't necessarily fair. But social media is definitely making it worse.
Yeah, and it's interesting, some things that you've already done, you and John together, whether it's being a mentor or one-on-one relationships, those are things that can quiet down all of that noise. And that really is real. Those are real relationships. And with the right support and putting the phones down, I can see how, that can be, important. Well, let's see. One thing I wanted to do is get both of your takes on this question, albeit, many of the podcast listeners will, say that there's probably nothing Jo and John McKenzie need to do differently in any way, given all they've achieved and what they're doing now. But I wanted to quote my favorite author, Abraham Verghese. Jo, I know you've read a couple of his books. I read Cutting for Stone in my book group, and he has this quote, which I thought was interesting. You live life forward, but understand it backward. So maybe John and then Jo, what is it you understand now as a leader that you wished you knew sooner?
Well, I guess you'd answer that two ways. One would be reviewing the mistakes I've made, and I've made plenty. But I will say that when I went through the most difficult time in my life, it made me a better person, because I'm much more sensitive now. I spend much more time thinking about what I do, and try to be more thoughtful, and I'm much more responsive to the needs of other people. But really, I think what I did learn about that issue early on was when I had a painting company as a young man when I was in college. And I was trying to motivate my guys to paint faster. And I did it with money, and it didn't work very well. And then I went at it a different way, where I learned, and I wouldn't say the painting business is what really reinforced it, but other things I've done. And that is that people will work harder for a mission than they will for money. People at their core need to believe in what they're doing. And if you can make any amount of money can be thrown at you, but if it doesn't motivate you, you're not excited by it, you won't do it very well. And I think that's sort of going to be at the core of what we're hoping to accomplish with this school. We want the whole person. We want to reinforce mental and physical health, and we want to teach them about wealth building and entrepreneurship and all of that. But the core of it, fundamentally, is finding something that you're motivated by.
Yeah, it's as you're telling that story, which is a beautiful one. It reminds me, as we over the last few years have built the School Improvement Partnership database with data on every school in 28 states, every charter school. When our engineers, would make a mistake and say the database would go down or something would go wrong, I would tell them, "You did it, Eureka! You found a way that doesn't work to do the coding on that project." I mean, just like Thomas Edison, who tried 300 different substances for the filament in the light bulb, and he didn't say to himself when he tried a bologna sandwich and it didn't work, "Oh gosh, I should have been a dentist like my mom wanted to." He said, "Eureka, I guess we can't use a bologna sandwich for a filament to the light bulb." And so that's part of discovery and sort of, Jo, for me anyway, quieting all the guilt and shame and blame. No, that's part of the growth and discovery and learning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you also don't be afraid to admit you don't have all the answers. And that goes for leadership, for being a parent, being a spouse, being, anything in life. I think a lot of times people think, at least I used to think, oh, if I'm going to this meeting, I've got to be able to, have all the answers right. Like I'm back in school taking a test or something. But I think, people don't expect you to know all the answers. And that's part of learning and growing too, is listening and trying to figure out what the right answers are, and trying to develop your own sense of what you know and what you don't know, and learning from that.
Yeah, and having sort of a sense that you don't know everything, you just know what you've gone through with your experience.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you both for being so open and candid and really kind as we bring to a close this episode of the Charter School Investor Podcast, what school charter school leadership looks like. Jo and John McKenzie of the McKenzie Foundation, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Alan. Nice to talk to you.